Hi everybody, Carol Garrison here with Carol's Creative Escape. It is Monday, October 21st, and it's time for another Make It Monday. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I really do appreciate it. I know my schedule is very busy, and I imagine the rest of you also have lots on your plate. So I do appreciate the time that you take to watch my videos. And I appreciate it just as much if you're watching it in person or through replay. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from White Bear Lake, Minnesota, and I've been making cards and making cards for over 30 years, stamping for probably 20 of that time, lots of embossing in between, that sort of thing. But my goal is to simply spread joy one card at a time, and that may be because I'm able to make a card and give it to somebody, or perhaps I'm able to show somebody how they can be creative too through one of my videos. Either way, I am happy if I am helping somebody else find happiness in either making cards or giving cards away. So tonight, well, first of all, I hope everybody's had a good week. We've actually it got kind of chilly last week, but then we had two very beautiful days in the 80s. We're extremely dry up here, but I think the temps are going to start going down tomorrow, and I guess that I'm not going to see any more 80s up here, but we've sure enjoyed it while we could. And now we're into that leaf raking season here. I've got a couple huge maples in my yard that like to drop leaves for a long, long, long time. It looks like Zena's going to join us for a while here in the background, so hopefully she doesn't get into too much while we're doing that. One of the things I have to do for fall is bring in a big hibiscus plant that I own. It is 30 years old this year, has weathered much heat, much cold temps, sometimes getting a little bit too dry. Last year my kittens climbed it and broke off about 2/3 of the branches that were on there, and yet it still survived. So last week I brought that in. It's always kind of a sad time because for me that's really when it's a time up for, sorry I had some noise in the background there. It's really time for the cooler weather to hit. But imagine my happiness when Stampin' Up! Released some online exclusives. I actually intended to make a Christmas card tonight. That is not happening. Stampin' Up! Has released some new online exclusives, and one of those sets is a set called Happy Hibiscus. Of course I had to get it. And so instead of showing you how to make a Christmas card tonight, I am actually going to show you how to make a card with this beautiful Happy Hibiscus set. You know, sometimes you just got to do it. I think the weather is more fitting for hibiscus plants, and so that is what we are going to look at. Let me try to get things situated here. And I apologize for the funny little sounds in the background. That would be the cat getting into who knows what. I'm finding that I really do need to clean up after myself. It's probably a good thing because these kittens are stealing everything if I leave it out. I can't even blame it all on one cat or the other. So anyhow, let me show you. This is an online exclusive. It is a bundle. And it's a bundle that includes a stamp set, which looks like this. It's got these 3 hibiscus all on one stamp. They all fit together, and I'll tell you why they're all on one stamp. And then it includes these fill-in stamps, which are very easy to use. And this is one of those sets where you don't have to be precise when you're stamping the fill color. 2 sets of leaves. And then it's also got these, congratulations, you make me smile, thanks for being so kind, and just a really cool background. The stamps look like this. Here it's just black ink on white paper. And then here I've stamped with, this is Melon Mambo, Real Red, and Peekaboo Peach, Peach Pie. Peekaboo Peach was an old color. And then the other part that comes with this set is this bundle here, which includes dies and a 3D embossing folder. So you can get this purchased together and the stamp set alone, or you can get all 3 of these items purchased at the same time. If you're going to do it, do the bundle. You'll save 10%, and you're going to want it anyhow. So what's nice about this die is these 3 stamps that are already together on our block also are all together on this die. And so they cut out very easily. You don't have to worry about the lining up. Stampin' Up's already done that by keeping the stamps connected and the dies connected. It also includes 2 sets of these little flowers, and I just stacked mine up and colored it in with a blend pen to create, I don't know, kind of magnolia or something maybe. And they are cut so that you would be able to pop up the petals a little bit if that was something that you wanted to do. So just tried to provide an example of that. It's got this great shape here, as well as the circle for some of the stamped images that'll fit in there. And then it also includes, in addition to these extra flowers here, this wonderful leaf. This really looks like a leaf from my hibiscus plants, but then I really like this maple leaf too. It's got lots of detail with the cut lines in it. So some fun dies and things to get with this. And then, like I said, it comes with this 3D embossing folder. This is one of those hybrid embossing folders, so this die will fit perfectly in here. You can cut it out, and then you get these wonderful embossed hibiscus flowers. I have not done any coloring with mine because I really just got to start playing with this today, but lots of depth and detail on these too. So I wanted you to see what those would look like cut out. So here's just the plain stamp. Here's the stamp with the filled images. And then here's that amazing 3D embossing folder. And this is a larger embossing folder. So that's the whole pattern that you can see. Lots of detail. I'm going to work with coloring these in and see what I can do with that. I just didn't want to add too much into it tonight. I was just excited to get a chance to do this. So lots of opportunities with this, including making some kind of a fall card with that maple leaf. So I am going to make a card tonight. I don't even have a sample for you because it's just kind of been percolating in my head. And I have done some pre stuff, but I am going to stamp because I do want you to see how easy it is. So for my card, I've got a base layer that's 5.5 by 8.5. Managed to get a smudge on it. I'm not concerned because I'm going to cover it up with this piece of 4 by 5.25 inch Melon Mambo cardstock. And then I've got a piece of basic white. This measures 3 3/4 by 5 inches that I've run through the embossing folder. And then what I did ahead of time was die cut using Melon Mambo. Now, my hibiscus, I used to have 2 that were the same age. I got both of them in 1994. It was a present that I got from my mother-in-law when I finished my master's degree, which is why I can remember the year I got them and how old they are. But I lost my red one due to a storm. It snapped off. But my other plant that I have somehow ended up with 2 different colors of, it must have, it does have 2 plants in it. And it's always been that way. But one of the flowers is fuchsia and the other set is a peach color. And so that's why on here I've got my red, my fuchsia, and my peach, if you're wondering why I picked those colors. Those that have been at my house, you know what I'm talking about. But with this particular card, I am just focusing on Melon Mambo because that really is one of my favorite on the hibiscus flowers. So I've die cut those. I've stamped them. I did die cut a couple sets of leaves. I'm not sure if I'm going to put them on yet or not, but I wanted to have them available. So I did a couple of the big and a couple of the small. And then I cut out a circle and a rectangle out of the cardstock. Basic white, simply because I wasn't quite sure which way I was going to go with it yet for the saying. I now know I've got a purpose for this card. So I'm actually going to use a happy birthday sentiment that comes out of the Simply Said stamp set, only because I need it for the birthday. And then I did something fun and I need to work a little bit on the lining up, but on my envelope, you've seen me put designer paper on here. Today, I just ran that flap through the embossing folder, and so we've got a pretty cool look on the back. A little quicker, maybe, than doing the designer series paper, although that isn't a very long piece either, but it does add some fun detail and gives a little hint about what might be inside the card. So let me show you just how simple this is to stamp, and I'm going to show you one thing that I tried was just doing tone on tone when I started playing with this, and I don't think this is Melon Mambo both for the inside and the outside. And even though you can see the darker lines in there, I don't think it shows up enough to do quite justice for the detail of the stamp. So if I were to do this again, I think I would definitely do it in a darker tone or a lighter tone kind of thing. Today I am going to make, I'm just going to do in peach because I want to be able to use them for something else. So I've got a scrap of cardstock here, and I'm going to do the pebbled path just to see if it's a little more subtle, perhaps, than that black is. Now I'm just kind of playing around a little bit to see what happens. So I'm going to stamp that image. You can see that all three are on there. I'm hoping this will lighten up a little bit as it dries. I think it should. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. I probably should have maybe grabbed my smoky slate instead. You know what? Let's just see what happens if I do it in smoky slate. Kind of decide which one we like better. There we go. I just noticed that little line in there. I don't think it's really part of the stamp. I would encourage you to be careful when you are removing the stamp from your block, because it is, and I'm wondering if that's what I did maybe. Yeah, I tore mine. So be very careful when you're peeling it off your block. Shoot. Fortunately, that did not show through when I stamped it, but it definitely tore. So don't do what I did. It's not going to stop me from using it. Just be careful when you're pulling it off your block and off this piece. I don't think I've ever done that in all the time I've been stamping. I do like that lighter gray. That's part of what I was looking for. So we're going to go with that. Then I'm going to take my Peekaboo Peach and be careful with these too, I guess, is the, make sure I don't have any cat hair. All right, and I'm just going to ink up my stamp, and then that's going to go with this one. So I am just going to set it down. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing here on camera. Get it lined up and stamp. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. These are one set of stamps where that doesn't seem to matter a whole lot. And we'll take that other flower. This one's a little bit easier because that notch is pretty distinctive. We will line up. Sure, as I tell you, it's not that hard. Line up that notch. And stamp it up. And then finally this last flower. So you can see that I'm not spending a great deal of time lining it up, and it doesn't need to be perfect. But it is very easy to get these flowers to line up. So that's kind of fun. Like I said, if you know me, you know how much I like the hibiscus flowers. So there's just another way to do it, and then the die will lie down right on top of this, and I'll be able to cut all 3 flowers out at the same time and make another card, but just using the peach. I am going to take a moment to wipe off my stamps just because I don't want to get ink all over everything. I'll have to go back and fix that large one, but do that one a little bit differently. One other stamp that I did not mention is this one, which is just a fun background stamp. I haven't quite figured out how I'm going to use it, but if you did it like in 2nd or 3rd generation, that could add some pretty cool backgrounds to your cards too. All right, let's go ahead and assemble my card as I've got it here. The first thing that I want to do is stamp my sentiment. Like I said, I have a purpose for this card, and so I am going to do a happy birthday stamp, and I'm going to do this in basic black. Now, one of the things I like to do when I'm putting sentiments on, especially when they're skinny like that, because they can kind of twist a little bit, is I just set it down on my work surface, face down, and then I attach my black to it that way. That pretty much guarantees that the stamp itself has stayed straight, and then when I put it on my black, I really don't care if it is straight on there or not. In fact, I prefer it to be crooked, simply because that allows me to focus on the stamp itself when I'm trying to line things up instead of the black. And if it's a little crooked on the black, then I'm, you know, I know not to use my black as the measuring thing for straightness. I need to really focus on that stamp. That's what works for me. Everybody can do their own thing. I'm going to stamp happy birthday on here, and ugh, that got crooked and a little smeared. So I will not, I can take time. Let me grab another piece of scrap paper here. And this time I am going to go ahead and stamp my image, and then I can put the block on, or the die cut over my stamped image here and make sure that it's straight. Just a slightly different way of looking at it. And I do have my mini cut and emboss machine handy here, so it'll be quick. Let me grab the die that I need. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is just put my die right over this and get the sentiment centered in there. I just keep some washi tape on the handle of my die cut machine, and I'm going to throw some of that on 2 sides. Sometimes the cats pull it off, sometimes they don't. And then when I make my sandwich here, I am going to stagger my top plate and that middle plate. I find that it makes it just a whole lot easier to get things started in this mini machine. When it first came out, I had a lot of issues with that, and that was a tip that I saw posted online, and it's one of those tips that really does work. All right, so let's get rid of this. And there we go. My sentiment is there. Whoops. I'm adding my washi tape to my camera stand now. And we're going to put this away because I've been losing stuff tonight, and I don't want to keep looking for stuff. I'm kind of tired of that. Okay, it was kind of funny the other day. Yesterday I was down here cleaning, and I made a comment that I couldn't find this, and I was actually missing a set of dies too. Turns out I put the dies in with another set of dies, so I had kind of double. But this piece I couldn't find, and I figured one of the cats had taken it. And so I just asked if anybody knew, I was missing a kind of taupey, tannish, grayish colored corner piece for my glass cutting mat. My daughter says, just a minute. And she ran upstairs and she said, I found this on my bed. And I was pretty sure it was something important, so I didn't want to throw it away. And now we know what it is. And so somehow it had made it from the bottom level of my house to the upper level. It's a 2-story, 1 story above ground. So it went from the basement on up. Anyhow, kind of funny. But we found it. I'm glad she had the presence of mind not to throw it away and figure it was probably something important. All right, so to make this card, I've got my card base, like I said, that's 5.5 by 8.5. I've got a piece of Melon Mambo cardstock that measures 4 by 5 1/4. And then the basic white cardstock itself measures 3 3/4 by 5. And this I did run through that embossing folder so that I would have that detail on there. I really kind of wanted the white to be the primary focus of this card, with just that Melon Mambo being a hint of color. And I debated doing the 1/8 bigger on the labels, 1/8 of an inch bigger, but went with kind of the standard layout. All right, and then I'm going to add this layer. Now when I'm using these, first of all, you want to press light because the fibers have been broken down, and so it is easy to catch them on your adhesive roll if you press down too hard. But by the same token, because we have embossed pretty heavily, I do put more adhesive on mine than normally what I would put on. And again, I'm just going to center that piece. Now this card is pretty by itself. I could just do this and put happy birthday, but I wanted to use these pretty flowers that I worked on making, and I'm actually going to be popping them up on dimensionals. I get to hand deliver this card, and so I'm not too concerned about adding more bulk. And so I'm just going to put dimensionals onto the card. And I want to just line these up right over that embossed flower. But again, popping them up on dimensionals so that they have a little lift to them. Whoa. And that is how dimensionals end up all over your house. They fly through the air. There's that. And then this little flower, we're just going to put one of those on there. And boom. So those are popped up a little bit. We've got the flowers. I'm going to put my sentiment right down here. I'm also going to pop that up on dimensionals because why not? And we'll put that right here. And then I did, like I said, die cut some of these leaves out. And I think I'm actually going to use them. I wasn't sure, but I think it needs just a little pop of color. So we'll just kind of do that with them. These I'm not going to pop up. So I just need to put some adhesive on it. Now I could get really fancy and start coloring the middles yellow. I'm not going to do that just because I'd be coloring over the pink ink and stuff too, but there's some opportunity to do some different coloring with these, and I just have to play with it a little bit to figure out where I want to go. I think we'll kind of pop those right there and right there, and that just adds a teeny bit of color. And then of course it wouldn't be a card if I didn't have something sparkly added to it. So let's see what I've got. Those might be kind of fun. This is going to somebody who likes pink, so if I can figure out, those are clear. Let's see what I've got going in gems here. Maybe I could just pop a couple of these out here. And we'll put one big one right there. And that just adds a little bit more to the card. And now that I've got my storage case out, I might as well put these away before they become cat toys. Okay. And that is the Happy Hibiscus card. I really like that. I'm looking forward to making one using the peach flowers that I showed you how to make tonight. And then again, how fun is this going to be for my friend to receive with that fancy embossed envelope too. I love this set. You may see more coming out of it even in the middle of winter. I hope everybody has a great night, great week. I will see you next week on October 28th. And again, these are new online releases. I was able to order them early because I'm a demonstrator. That's one of the perks. But they will be available for you to order soon. I just couldn't wait to share them with you. Take care, everybody. Have a great week, and we will see you on October 28th. Bye-bye.